so many people hated it that they watched it. And all Netflix cared about was how many people watched it.
炎上してそれで注目を集めて、人気になる的な。
From that perspective, I could see this thing being successful, at least for 1 year. Welcome to the Lazy Fluency podcast, where we have casual conversations switching between English and Japanese so that you can learn from and with us along the way. I'm Joey.
And I'm Yami.
And the topic of the day is Olympic esports. Before we get into that, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and or drop a review of our platform you're listening on. We appreciate the support. And with that out of the way, Olympic esports? The Olympic International Committee has revealed the 2023 game roster, and you have a chance at winning gold. Esports have entered the Olympics. Today's topic is esports in the Olympics. And for those who haven't heard of this news, it is much worse than you are currently thinking, or better, depending on if comedy is something you appreciate. Had you heard about this news before today, Ayumi?
いや、今回初めて聞きました。なんかでも前々からさ、なんか e スポーツのなんか、なんて言うんだろうね。流れ、なんか波とか来てるよね。その、流行ってきたっていうのもあるし、まあでもなんで今のタイミングっていうのは疑問。はい。
Yeah. Are you talking about in terms of like a previous conversation we had? Or are you talking about esports in general have becoming more popular?
in general で、なんか結構、なんだっけな、コロナの前から結構なんか、流行ってますみたいな感じで、もうそれこそさ、e スポーツの、まあ、コンペティションもあるわけじゃん。世界中で。
Yeah.
で、それでもう。
In your head, what are the biggest esports?I'm wondering what esports are you aware of?
なんだろう、私、多分知っての通り全然ゲームとかには、なんだろう、知識全然なくて、全然わかんないけど、それでも私は、なんだろう、任天堂とかなんかのスマブラとか、そういう系の、ね、大会があるっていうのは知ってて、で、1位の人が確か、すごい何億とかもらえるんでしょ1億円とか。
Yeah, it depends. Esports have had an interesting thing where they're different genres. So there used to be a big thing where Fortnite, which is like a FPS, first-person shooter, was really big, and you could earn a lot of money. There are other genres called MOBAs, which are a whole other thing, like League of Legends. Have you heard of League of Legends before?
League of Legends. 聞いたことある。名前だけ。
Yeah, and then there's another genre called RTS, or real-time strategy, which Age of Empires is a part of. For those people who've been listening for a while, know that I'm in Age of Empires. But for those who haven't heard this news, I want to imagine, what esports do you think got in? And we'll start with a hint from the Twitter, or Olympic Games Twitter. So the Olympic Games Twitter, March 1st, 2023, posted this post, which I'll put up on screen, saying the Olympic esports series games lineup. This is archery, baseball, chess, cycling, dance, motorsport, sailing, tennis, and Taekwondo.
Taekwondo かな
so,
Taekwondo って
Yeah, Taekwondo.
へー、Taekwondo って言うんだ。へー。
Yeah, in English. And so maybe you have, let's look at the options here. So archery, I don't really know any games. Maybe baseball either, honestly. Maybe the only one I could probably guess is the one that one of your we had a conversation with one of Ayami's friends who heard a rumor that Mario Kart apparently made it into the Olympics. Or didn't make it. He thought it had a chance at getting into the Olympics. And I thought it was the most crazy thing I've ever heard. For multiple reasons. One, Mario Kart really isn't that popular, and Nintendo, I mean, it is casually, but not competitively.
あ、そうなんだ。
And for when I hear a competition, like Olympics, it is competition. If something isn't competitively viable to me, I'm like, with a big fan base, then I'm like, why would they even do it? Like Smash Bros. Go ahead.
マリオカートってコンペティションじゃない？あ、でもそっか、でもラックとかもあるよね。その、例えば、ハテナのボックスをなんていうかわかんないけど、さ、ボックスでヒットした時に何が出るとかも、あれ、ラックだからってことか。
I mean, it just depends. Yeah, but yeah, Mario Kart doesn't seem like it was designed, or any of the players. I mean, I know there is competitive Mario Kart. A lot of it has to do with time trials, though. There's a whole series on that from a guy called Summoning Salt, who's made really good videos on world record histories of that game. But anyways, or even like Smash Bros, which is really big. You mentioned that for Nintendo. That has a big competitive scene, but Nintendo doesn't like putting itself anywhere near competition. But I will let people know, one of these games is a Nintendo game, Nintendo property. So without prolonging this as far as possible. If you recognize more than 2 games on this list, I'd say that you're doing better than most people.
Most people.
Did you recognize? Yeah. So I'll read the lists as we go down, or the games as I have them written. So archery is Tic Tac Bow. If you haven't heard of Tic Tac Bow or any of these games, then yeah, I wouldn't feel too weird about it. These games are extremely obscure. The next one is
TikTok なんだ。
yeah. Baseball, which is WBSC eBaseball PowerPros, which is like a Japanese, what would you call it? It's like a Japanese version, another Japanese less popular version of Wii Sports Baseball. Then there's chess.com. Yeah, which is like obvious. Chess is big. Zwift for cycling, which is a exercise bike. Basically, it's a game that goes with an exercise bike. It's meant for getting exercise. It's not really a video game for competition, so don't know what that's about. Then there's Dance is Just Dance. Motorsports is Gran Turismo, notably not Mario Kart. Sailing is Virtual Regatta, which is I think a mobile game. One of these is a mobile game. I can't remember. Multiple of them are mobile games. And then Taekwondo. Taekwondo, I feel like, has the most merit, but it's still ridiculous. Where it's virtual Taekwondo, and it's basically actual Taekwondo athletes doing Taekwondo, and then they have their avatars fighting for them, like an Xbox Connect. And then the very last one is Tennis Clash for tennis. No, this is a mobile game, I think. Tennis Class. What are your first impressions of these games?
いや、で、なんだろう。まず、なんかさ、サイクリングの Zwift。これさ、あれでしょ、よくジムとかである、ジムとはちょっと違うけどさ、なんていうの、置いてある自転車に
Those exercise bikes.
そう、
Yes, exercise
で
bike.
画面があるんだよね、前に。
Yeah.
で、それでこうやってやるんだろうけどさ、これさ、自分で持ってなかったら練習できなくない？そういう機械。
I mean, one of these is a mobile game. I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. This sounds like a meme, and no, this is not April 1st. This is happening. I have no clue how this is happening. I don't know who made these decisions, but this is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. We were planning to have a whole other episode topic today, but I saw this and I couldn't stop laughing, and so that is why this is the topic for today. It is so ridiculous.
しかもさ、これ何？オリンピックやるときに、確かシンガポールでやるんだよね。で、
シンガポール this is in June of this year.
シンガポールでやって、じゃあ、参加したい人は、みんなシンガポールに行けばできるってことだよね。予選があるの？
No, you have to qualify by May, I think. There are qualifiers in May, I think, if I remember.
じゃあもうそう、下手したらさ、まあ、ハイポセリカリーに仮説だけど、世界中のさ、人口70億人ぐらい、全員参加できるってことじゃん。
No, you have to qualify first, though.
だから、クオリファイも。クオリファイ
Yeah. You can participate in the qualifiers, I assume. But to get into the actual Olympics or the esports Olympics, you have to be one of the best of the best.
何で選んでんだろうね、そのクオリファイされるために。
Well, it's a competition, so you probably for each game you probably have to get either a high score or something like that.
でもだからそのさ、ハイスコア出すにはだってその機会を持ってないとできないじゃん。それ予選
For some games, one of the games is, I mean, you could say the same thing with like sport opportunities, although those are more like what is it? Water polo or what is it? Curling. You need to be able to have the equipment to play the game. What I find more ridiculous.
全国大会とかがあってさ、勝ったらオリンピックに行けるとかじ
ゃん。No, that's the same thing. There's a qualifier. That's what I'm saying. There's a qualifier.
ちっちゃいなんて言うんだろう。
Yeah, apparently some sort of mini competition.
国内のコンペティションがあって。しかもさ、今年から始まるんでしょ？練習時間なくない？
Yeah, there's not. It's so. This is the most. I just can't believe this is actually a thing.
なんで？
This is everything about this announcement is so hilariously bad. All the games are obscure beyond any point of it. Just what? Except for chess.com. But then for chess.com, it's like, what is the point? There's already chess. And the people who are good at chess are going to be good at chess.com. That's like another thing that I find interesting about this thing. Some of the games are just so laughably hilarious and like unpopular, irrelevant, and nobody plays them, and they're not even similar to the sport. Like I think Archer Tic Tac Bow, which is like a phone game. And then other ones of the games are just basically the real thing, except for some reason it's not the real thing. Like the virtual Taekwondo. Oh my gosh. I'm going to put the videos. So maybe I'll give a mini trailer as I broke them down, so you have an idea of what they look like. But the virtual Taekwondo is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. There's an ad. I mean, you can see the YouTube video if you want, but there's people like commentating over their form and stuff as they're doing it. And like, oh, watch them on screen fighting each other. And it looks like, for people at home, if you've ever seen Kinect, the Xbox Kinect avatars or like Wii avatars awkwardly hitting each other, it's like professional Taekwondo athletes doing all these like roundhouse kicks and everything, and it looks really cool. And then it shows a screen of them fighting, and the characters are just glitching out on each other as a commentator acts like this is something that people are actually interested in watching. And oh my god, it is so funny.
これ、何オポーネント、対戦相手はバーチャルなの？バーチャルっていうかコンピューターなのかな？
No, the other person is a real person beside them. There are two people on a platform, both just like punching and kicking the air, and then their avatars in the game are fighting each other.
じゃあそしたらさ、何横にいるのに普通に戦えばよくない？どういうこと？
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's why it's so funny. Oh my gosh.
No.
I couldn't. Whoever wrote this is a comedic genius. I could not be paid to write such a, like, for me the joke would be, oh, put Mario Kart in put Mario Kart is in the racing game, put Smash in as the fighting game. But that wouldn't be as funny. Virtual Taekwondo, it's like not even a real Taekwondo, like they're actually having the people do Taekwondo, and then they're just not doing it. You went through the trouble of getting actual athletes. And so
あれじゃだけさ、多分さ、ちょっとディフェンスになっちゃうけどさ、なんか、あれなんじゃない？バーチャルの画面の中に、なんかちょっと面白い雰囲気みたいになって、例えばなんだろう、お寺の中とか、実際にお寺の中とかでさ、大会できないから、そういう雰囲気を味わうために、ね、実際横にいるのに、画面でやるみたいな。
I mean, I feel like a better argument would be something like, there's been a lot of injuries. You know what? They should have virtual football. Like, oh, there are too many concussions in football. What we really need is a way to play football virtually. And at least that has an actual following. People are really into, oh gosh, what is Madden 2K? Like the series of football games, video games. People really like it. Or FIFA. If they had, oh my gosh, if they had FIFA video game, I could get behind that. People could get behind that. Like, people obviously love soccer, but people love FIFA. But no, they chose, oh my god, I just don't understand. The only thing I can believe is one of two things. One, I mean, this is very likely. They have a really, really old committee that decided this, that doesn't know anything about esports. And I don't know who chose the games. Maybe people paid the money to get the games in. Like, I don't know how Nintendo thinks it's a good idea to have it. And my second idea, oh, go ahead.
コロナとかあったからさ、なんかこういうので活性化しようみたいなのもあったんじゃない？
No, that's not the... Okay, so, I mean, that is the problem partially. I don't think Olympics and esports should be in the same... Like, I feel like this whole thing is ridiculous. Like, esports doesn't need the Olympics, and Olympics doesn't need esports. But what I think is even more ridiculous is there are plenty of really popular games that people care about, and they just chose none of them. Like, even within the genres they chose.
確かに、テコンドーとかさ、まあ、なんていうの、アジアだよね。アジアのタイとかかな。
I mean, think of how much cooler it would be if they chose Street Fighter. Or something.
何? Street Fighter って。
Street Fighter is like an OG, like, what is it called? Fighting game. Like, hand-to-hand fighting game. Like on the arcades. With those, like, the box arcades.
ちょっとレトロな感じのやつね。
Yeah, exactly. That would be way cooler. I mean, let me make up a quick, better list here. We have Street Fighter, replace that with Taekwondo. I don't know what you'd replace with sailing. That's ridiculous. Get Mario Kart in there.
これさ
Just Dance, what are we doing? Oh, Just Dance, make it Dance Dance Revolution instead of Just Dance. Make it Dance Dance Revolution.
あれ Just Dance ってあれ Wii だっけ？ Wii じゃない。なんだ間違えた。
Xbox, I think Xbox was originally... Well, I think Xbox was the original Just Dance, whatever, publisher. I might be wrong about that. Or Microsoft.
あれよね。さっき言ってたなんだっけ？名前忘れちゃった。なんか 地面がさ、光ったりして上でダンスするやつ。
Oh, DDR. Yeah, Dance Dance Revolution.
そうそう。それとかの方がよくね、アメリカのさ、ドラマとかで見るけどさ、あれの方が楽しくない？
Yeah.
わかんない。
Yeah. The other one I find interestingly funny is Zwift because that's actual cycling. Like the people who are going to win the Zwift competition are going to be people who are people who cycle. Maybe I don't know. Like as I'm a runner and like runners train with cycling sometimes if they don't want to like for a lot of reasons. One, if you're in a city, it can be easier to do a lot of like distance or whatever on. But I mean, a lot of times a treadmill. But if you have an injury, whether it be like shins or shin splints or anything like that, cycling makes it so it's easier to not have to wear out your legs or your bones and things like that. So that's helpful in that sense. But for cycling, cyclers actually do the literal same thing. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like there's why we even have the video game here.
しかもさ、普通のサイクリング。
Cycling is still cycling.
なんだっけ、風とかさ、あとなんだろう。人の後ろに立つと人の後ろでサイクルするとさ、風を避けられて、それでなんかその後抜かせるとかいろいろ戦略があるじゃん。そういうのもさ、なんかスポーツの一部だしさ、あとあと筋肉とかもさ必要じゃん。なんかこれってなんかなんだろう、おじいちゃんのお遊びの延長上かなみたいな。なんか全然ねえ。普通のサイクリングのさ、競輪とかあるじゃん。あれあるなら別にこれやらなくていいんじゃないって思うけどね。
This also do the second objective that I think someone could have, or the second possibility, is that this is the reaction that they were hoping for, which I don't think is a really good long-term solution, but I think either they have a genius person in marketing or they have an old person who doesn't know what they're doing. Because this is going to be so insane. And if a lot of these competitions, for example, Zwift is filled up with actual world-class athletes and virtual Taekwondo has the best Taekwondo athletes in the world, whatever, then that'll be hilarious in its own right. You'll have a bunch of like cyclers going really hard but the camera is not going to be on them cycling. It's going to be on the virtual cycler and the people this is almost like they're in real life. This reminds me of the time that this cycler, I don't know, whatever, did this thing in real life. Except it's virtual. Yeah. Oh my god, this is just crazy.
なんかさ、ボール系意味ないよね。テニスとかもだってさ、相手の動きで計算したり、なんだろう、手のさ、動きでさ、カットとかさ、やるじゃん。あと、で、スマッシュとかさ。そういうのも。
Yeah.
あとね、風もあるし。ちょっと。
I mean, yeah, I for the tennis one, like I said, let me pull it up. I believe the tennis one's straight up a like game on your phone. I can't, it's hard to verify, but like it's just so far removed from the actual tennis, as well as even being a good tennis game at that.
なんか、
Yeah, go ahead.
しかもさ、テニスってさ、すごくさ、大きいスポーツじゃん。なんか、グランドスラムだっけなんて言うんだっけ
I don't know much about tennis.
なんか間違ってたら。
But yes, it is. Oh, the open?
あ、そうそう、なんとかオープンとかわかんないけど。
Yeah.
そういうのもさ、あってさ、すごく大きなスポーツなのにさ、こういうことやるのはね、ちょっと。なんか、もしさ、テコンドーとか、まだテコンドー、まあちょっとあれだけど、すごいちっちゃいスポーツで、みんなに親しみがないやつで、まあバーチャルでやるのは、まあ、強いて言えば許せるけど、なんかこういう
This whole thing's ridiculous.
まあそうだけどね。
This whole thing is ridiculous.
まあ、もし何かをやんない、e スポーツで何かをやんないといけないとしたら、まあ、マイナーなスポーツを取り入れた方がいいんじゃないかなって思う。なんかテニスとか
I don't think they should be doing with sports. Like esports, this is why maybe this is a whole other suggestion about, I feel like the word esports is really dumb. I don't understand why it even came to be. Sports and competitions or gaming competitions are just fundamentally different. I don't know why you have to put esport. You put esport in the name and everybody wanted to call it esports. Now we're having this is our in Olympics. If we just didn't call it esports, people wouldn't feel like they have to, or this dumb committee wouldn't feel like they have to put archery tic tac bow as one of the this is just gonna be so ridiculous. I just can't. Like it's either completely idiotic or genius. At least for 1 year, because it'll be hilarious to watch.
あれだよ、これ決めた人、なんか e スポーツっていう名前が流行ってます。e スポーツなんかあるんだって考えたおじさんたちで、じゃあスポーツを E にすればいろんな人が楽しめんじゃないかみたいな。そもそもさ、e スポーツってスポーツじゃないからさ、なんて言うんだろうね。ゲームコンペティションとかのが良かったかもね。ゲーム大会。
I mean, yeah, just like I don't even know. What I find crazy is that like Nintendo, the amount of so I'm somebody who follows Smash, like Smash Brothers, Smash Bros Melee, Smash Bros Ultimate, and all that the community has ever wanted is Nintendo to support them. And it's no. They almost helped and then they didn't, and everything went bad. And then you somehow have WBSC, eBaseball, PowerPros entering the Olympics.
これたまに CM
a game which what?
たまに CM で見るよ。なんかテレビかなんか YouTube かなんとかで。このなんていうの？パワフルプロ野球っていうやつのキャラクター見たことある。
I mean, this game's also weird because as far as I know, this is the only game that's basically just a Japanese game. I don't think this has an audience really anywhere outside of Japan. All the other games don't have any audience at all except for chess.com. But at the very least, they're in English. But the baseball PowerPros is like, it's all kanji on everybody. It's all these Japanese players on this court. And you're like, how is this an Olympic game?
なんかこの中で
go ahead.
一番リディキュラスだなと思うのがセーリング Virtual Regatta
Regatta? Yeah, that one's
セーリングってさそもそもさ風があってさ海があって成り立つもんじゃん。
I mean, you can see it. There's like a bunch of ships and they just I don't even know what maybe it's another racing game. It looks like they have 3 racing games, honestly.
何もないじゃん。
You know what, this could maybe what really happened is that there were people in the Olympic Committee wanting to bring in esports, and there was somebody above them that really doesn't like sports. I mean, esports. Hates it, and he wants to prove that esports are a joke and that they have no chance in succeeding. And so he's like, okay, we'll try esports. We'll give it our best shot.
そのさ、ジョークをさ、なんていうの、プルーブするためだけにさ、オフィシャルにしないでほしいけどね。
Oh no, it's not that it's a joke, is that from his perspective, he sees it as a joke and he wants to have it fail. So he wants to have it fail so bad that nobody ever asks to make esports in the Olympics again. And from that perspective, he might accidentally fail though. I think randomly, at least from meme viewership, this could get some viewership. I don't think it's going to last or really be that big compared to Olympic views, but I think there'll be a large percentage of the viewership for any of these things just from people thinking how ridiculous this is. Just Dance, like, are you imagining this? Like people actually in this Just Dance competition, and there's I just can't get around that fact that there's going to be commentators. There's going to be commentators for Tic Tac Bow and WBSC, eBaseball, PowerPros. For chess is going to be the only one that people actually watch. And that's fine. Although I don't know why it's just not in person.
ジャスダンスもさ、あれでしょ？ダンスしてるのをなんかアバターでさ、スクリーンに映し出されるだけでしょ？
Yeah.
じゃあ別にその実際のもの見ればよくないってなる。
Yeah, there's so many questions.
テコンドーと一緒だよね、ジャストダンスは。実際いるのに、
It's basically the same thing as Zwift too.
Zwift なんだ
Yeah.
Zwift そうね。
Zwift is the one that the biking one.
確かに。
I do feel like it's a huge slap in the face to chess though. All the other ones are a complete joke, whatever, but chess is taken seriously. It is like a serious competition.
結構前からねあるもん。
My question is, do you think that the pros for chess are going to veto that? Like they're not going to want to participate? Because I feel like this is just a slap in the face to chess. That's how it feels like. It's like if you imagine if I had if I was a runner and I get up to the line to do a run, like a 400, 800 or whatever. And they're like, okay, so you're going to be running by yourself. No, go 100%. Do your best. Okay. Now beside you, one of the competitors we have a 3-year-old frog or whatever, the frog is going to hop along the track. And then we have a clown. He's going to be juggling beside you as you're going on your race. Okay, but just take it seriously. I want you to put in all your effort in here. Don't be too distracted by the clown. Also, we're gonna have somebody throw bananas on the track. That's what I feel. I feel like that's what putting chess here
チェスはなんか実際やってるのと e スポーツでやるのとって同じじゃんほぼ。だってそれがさなんていうの実際のチェスはこういう駒をさなんとか盤の上でさ、チェス盤かの上で やるのを、画面上でやるのから考えるとかね、そういうアクションが同じじゃん。だから、これは make sense な気がする。なんかそれをさ、
the reason...
大きいコンペティションにするみたいな働きはいいと思うけど、それ以外はちょっとよくわかんない。
I mean, the reason I don't think it makes any sense is because of the fact that chess already... It literally isn't different. That's the problem. It's not esport, really, in that sense. Like people who play chess professionally train with chess.com.
確かに。
It just seems it's almost like if you were to take, let's say, my running example. It's like you were to take somebody in practice and just that's the competition instead. It's like it's really weird. I don't see the point with chess.com, but I do have an actual question here.
この中でさ、一つ選ぶとしたらチェスが一番 make sense だよ。
It only makes sense because it's an actual thing. It's like saying choosing... chess is a weird example because it's played a lot on chess.com and in real life. If you're trying to distinguish it from sports, to me it doesn't make sense. It's just the same game except it's online. But I do have a real question, which is, do you think that this eventually... I mean, will something like this... Do you think if something like this will actually be big eventually? Because esports are big. Apparently, and I can see this being true in many countries, like sports are losing popularity along some of the youth. People are getting more into video games, whatever. My question is like, when will there be a tipping point to where like esports will be bigger in terms of, or if it will be a thing, bigger than like sports?
なんとも言えないけど、これは今年で失敗すると思います。これは、今年トライアルでやってるのかもしれないけど、失敗するんじゃないねえ。
I mean, it could be like, have you heard of Velma? There's a Netflix show on Velma called Velma based off Scooby-Doo.
知らない。
Do you know Scooby-Doo?
あれ、お化けだっけなんだっけ
Yeah, the ghost Scooby. You probably wouldn't know the opening, but it goes like Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? We've got
この
something
話前も
to
し
do
たわ。
now
なんか
or
スク
something.
ビデューが知らなくて、なんかそんなのも知らないのかみたいな言われた気がする。
Oh, okay. Well, there is Scooby-Doo, very famous cartoon, and they made a version, and by they, I mean, I think it's a Netflix original, with one of the characters who they changed the color of the character. The person was white, and they made them brown, and then they made it from a kids show, like a mystery kids show, into like a edgy high school comedy show. And it was so bad and hated that everybody hate watched it, and then it did really well, and then it got a second season confirmed. So many people hated it. So many people hated it that they watched it. And all Netflix cared about was how many people watched it.
炎上してそれで注目を集めて人気になる的な。
Yeah.
その
So
パターンかもしれないね。
from that perspective, I could see this thing being successful, at least for 1 year.
ね、賭けだね。
I'm just having... If Magnus Carlsen, or if I pronounce his name correctly, I can't remember. He's like one of the best in the world at chess, or like plays in this thing. I just can't see it. But I mean, for those who want to watch this, apparently it's in June in Singapore. Do you have the specific dates? I think it's the bottom of the competition. Here, June 22nd to 25th. So this is the live final, Singapore's Suntec Center.
3ヶ月しか練習できないのしかも。
Yeah, so or actually for those, a lot of these games straight up there's like Tic Tac Bow, WBSC eBaseball PowerPros. Like if you're interested in competing in the Olympics, like legitimately, like I think this article came out 2 days ago, probably 4 days from the podcast. before a podcast, you could probably qualify for one of these. Like if you just go hard, don't choose chess, you have no chance. But if you choose Tic Tac Bow, maybe Gran Turismo. Actually, I don't know. There's probably a fan base for that. Virtual Regatta, definitely. You could probably be the best in the world at that or close to it. So.
まあこれいいこととしてはさ、everyone has a chance だからなんだろう。
Well, not with a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those you have no chance. Chess, you have no chance. Zwift, you have no chance. Actual like athletes are going to do that. Taekwondo, you probably have no chance. Unless the virtual game is so bad that you can just... I'm sure you've ever had a Wii with a fighting game where instead of having to do all these kicks, you just go... You just spam the Wii remote. So maybe somebody will do that. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Are you going to be watching the Olympic esports? Do you think this should even exist in the first place? Let us know. 戻りました。
We're back.
今回、あみは話したいことがあるでしょ
う。Oh yeah, so I have serious hay fever. 花粉症。Yeah.
花粉症。
Yeah. Right now it's considered to be spring in Japan. And
もう consider というか、春。
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's getting warmer and it's a season for 花粉症. And so, yeah, in Japan, many people have 花粉症, hay fever. But like I heard in America, like not so many people have it or like zero.
特別な木から来ると思う、花粉症は。
No, like for a pollen, like every, I don't know, like.
いやで、日本だと特別な木がある。
杉かな杉、I don't know how to say 杉。
そう、杉。こういう話したことあると思う、1回ぐらい。
Really?
でも前。でも全然大丈夫。
Well, yeah, so 花粉症、so, yeah, my nose is running like constantly and ね、how do I say, 涙が出る、like,
You're beginning to cry, or
cry
I guess. Or more like you get tears. You get tears in your
tears,
eyes.
In my eyes. And
teary.
Yeah. Especially when you go to sleep and if your nose is clogged, it's the worst. Yeah. You can't sleep and you keep waking up in the middle of the night and then that's the worst. So yeah. I hate.
その長く日本に住むと花粉症が自然に現れることもあるって話聞いたことあるんだけど、なんか外国人は花粉症なかったけど日本に引っ越した時に5年が経って自然に花粉症になるという話とか。
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
でもどうやってまあとりあえずその花粉症の解決としては何がいい
？It's just
その目薬
take medication, like for allergy, and just bring tissues and handkerchief.
でも確かに日本語の先生、私の大学の時、まあ一人の先生、いつもアメリカでも春の時になんかHello みたいな感じだったいつも。それは花粉症だったと思う。でも多分日本人だからまあこれは面白い話だと思う。多分その歴史なんで花粉症実はこういう動画見たことある気がするけど。なんかどこから来るなんで日本人だけが。
get allergies.
まあこのアレルギー時に花粉症って。自分の友達の中ではなんかどのぐらいこのなんか花粉症なんていうかこの問題を抱えていると思う。
Some people don't have pollen allergy, but many people have the allergy. So I have to survive.
あいみの健康を祈ってください。
Yep, thank you.
まあ他のトピックについてはこのT シャツは普通の T シャツじゃない。実は新しいのを買った。この1年間ぐらいこのポッドキャストをやってるんだけど、今まで同じ T シャツを使った。まあというか、実はこの T シャツは、まあこの T シャツじゃなくて、前の T シャツは裏返してた。まあ裏返しというか、なんていうか、後ろと前は逆だった。いつも。なぜかというと、前は結構薄かった。なんか透明だったので、私の、なんていうか、乳首が見えないまあ、出さないために、後ろにした。
Yeah, so it was like so thin that your nipples ね will appear.
そう。
ね Yeah. So that's
まあ、という
why.
ことは、他のポッドキャストのエピソードを見ると、なんか T シャツはこんな感じじゃなくて、なんかこんな感じ。もっと
ネック
平たい。
エリアがね、ここ突っ張ってる感じ。
うん、後ろを前にしたから。すみません。1年かかったけど、ついに新しい T シャツ買った。
People probably don't know you, you were wearing like backwards.
そうそうそう。
Yeah, because like this time you just mentioned, so people will like go back to previous videos and then check if you're wearing like that.
まあ前だとそういうことを言ったらみんななんか前エピソードに気づくと思ったから言わなかった。でももうこれから変更したからまあなんかこれからあまりやまないように新しいのを買った。ついに。まあ実は2つ持ってるけど、この同じシャツ。これじゃなくて前の。でも両方は透明になったから。
スケスケになっちゃったね。透けちゃってね。透ける。そうそうそう。
まあ、すごく嬉しい。この前はナイロンだったと思う。
ナイロン。
今回、カートン。そう。何でしたっけ？
綿とかコットンかな。
あ、そうそうそう。綿、コットン。
Yeah. And is it snowing there?
そう。めっちゃ。日本にいた時に、まあ1回ぐらい雪降ったことあると思うんだけど、ほとんどの時はゼロ。完全に。で、みんなが知ってる通り、私が夏一番好きな人なので、そういう、まあ、知らないといけないことというのは私が夏が好き、一番、季節的に。ということは、日本にいた時、ずっと泊まってた時、3ヶ月くらいの間は全然降れなくて、すごく嬉しいことだった、全然降らないことは。でもアメリカに戻った時にやった雪をなんか見る機会がなくなったというかなんか喜んで雪なしの世界に戻ると思ったんだけど、実際はたくさん雪がある。私が住んでるところ。
How long do you think it will be to be finished?
本当の春？
Yeah.
どうだろうね。
1 month?
6月でも雪降ったことある。
In July? I don't know, June.
June.
Wow, that's summer.
残念。
Yeah.
マジで。そう。
ね、
そうならないといいけど。I mean, どう思う？私の意見について話したことはあるけど、雪に関してとか、夏に関しては、季節に関しては何が一番だと思う？
I like the beginning of summer, like spring and summer, in between. Between summer and spring.
Summer and spring?
初夏。
初夏というのは、夏の始まり。
Yeah, it's
春の終わり。
Like, it's not that hot, but you can feel this warm weather, and also there's not so many mosquitoes, so that's why, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
日本では蚊の問題ある？
Yeah, mosquitoes like in summer. It's so, how do I say, annoying. Yeah, you can't sleep.
家の中だとか？
Yeah.
それは嫌だ。
Yeah, when you're sleeping and then there's mosquito coming into your like around your ears and then like disturb you from sleeping. So yeah, I hate that.
アメリカでは家に入らないほぼ。でももちろん外にいるときにそういう問題あるけど、家の中 の経験あまりないかな。
Uh,
どうやって家に入れるの？
I guess when you open doors, they come inside the house. And what I really hate is I like doing picnic or like walking outside. But if I do that in summer, I will get mosquito bites. So yeah, it's how do I say it? Catch-22 situation?
そうそうそう、Catch 22。
Yeah.
日本語だとその Catch 22はどうやって？
ジレンマ
ジレンマ。ジレンマ。
ジレンマ。
デレンマ。
Yeah.
ジレンマ。
Yeah.
面白い。その蚊と汗の話したことある？そのなんか人の汗が何でしたっけ？なびく？なびくというか、それは
なびくじゃない。呼び寄せる？
誘い。そう、呼び寄せる。
そう。
その人はなんか、その蚊にとって、その、なんていうか、人によって蚊の、なんていうか、好む汗の匂いとかが違う。異なる。
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, probably, yeah.
それ、リスナーの中だと、自分が特に、いつも外にいるときに、蚊が来るというか、その個人的な、バイアスがあるかもしれないけど、同時に自分の汗のせいで、たくさんの、蚊が来るという説もあるかもしれない。というか、それは科学的に、なんていうか、解
明された？
そう、解明された。
Proved ね。
蚊が大嫌い。ということで、このセクションは終わり。Welcome back to the final section. And if you've made it to the final section, that means you send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com. Or you can drop a comment in the YouTube or leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Instagram or, I don't know, Twitter. You could DM us on Twitter. We have a Twitter as well. And Japanese listeners, please, Ayami.
はい、皆さんね、日本人の皆さん聞いてるの分かってるんですよ。脅し。何かね、話してほしいこととかね、感想とかあればね、ぜひぜひ何でも、ね、ジョイがね、裏返しに来てたのは知らなかったとかね、何でもいいので、ぜひお願いします。
It is interesting. I can see from statistics that the American viewership and the Japanese viewership are the biggest, and they're basically comparable in size. But I think it is more rare, I guess, for Japanese people to send or write an email. You can do it.
お待ちしておりますと。はい。
Yeah, and today we have our first commenter of the new, I guess not season, but I guess new year of the podcast, and it is very flavorful and in tune. That is from Shockox. He has 3 things he's kind of asking about or talking about. I'll read the comment in full, and then we'll address each part.
Okay.
So here we go. Thank you for 1 year. A long time since I learned all about bananas, the wonder fruit. I try not to be a creepy candy man because I'm very aware of the connotation. I also work at a candy company and tend to always have candy, so I'm out here striking a delicate balance. The worst part is you can't make a joke to dispel those because this is one of those situations where making the self-aware, ha ha ha, I'm a creepy pedo candy man joke only makes things worse. I just sit and pretend to be blissfully unaware, and that usually gives the correct vibe. This was referring to last week's episode we talked about, what was it? Was it Ame-chan? Ame-chan?
Ame-chan ね。
Yeah. And next part he said, that everything huge feeling is interesting. This is probably because I only ever moved to more American places, but whenever I go back to my home, everything feels so small. Like for most of my life, it was all encompassed in one place, and a 20-minute drive to Walmart felt like the longest thing in the world. Now going back there, everything feels very close and condensed, but also pretty open and free, since it's in very rural Georgia. I think it's the difference between being surrounded by trees and darkness all the time being compared to open expanse mountains in a city in Utah. And then he also, the last thing is, I was looking for the Kagami no Kojo movie once I knew it existed, but never found it. I'm guessing it's still only in theaters? Thanks for your comment, Shockox. And the first thing I want to address is, Aimi, what do you think about his candy dilemma? So he works at a candy place, but he wants to give candy to people. How does he give candy to people without being perceived as a pedo in America?
もし なんだろうね。女の人が開ける方が、まあ、なんだろう。そのペロには見えないけど。あと、なんて言うんだろう。なんだろうね。例えばさ、子供がいて、学校の、子供同士が遊んでて、で、それの面倒を見てるときとか、じゃあ、ね、何々くん、何々ちゃん、飴だから食べときな、みたいな。そういうシチュエーションだったら、まあ別にペ
You're
ロに
saying
も。
like at a school?
なんかあれだよ、子供同士で遊ぶときあるじゃん。小学校とかさ。
Not a guy. That's the thing. Like, you're imagining a guy doing this?
じゃあだからパパとして自分の子供と
Even if you're a dad. No, that's a problem. I've heard stories of, well, at least listening to other podcasts where like older men, I mean, who are doing the podcast or other people writing in, they're literally with their own son or daughter, and they've had other parents come up to them and question them about being with the kid because they were alone. And then they were like, this is my son/daughter. But the problem is, if you're a creeper, you could also say that. So this is one of those things where I find it interesting where because of men, for various valid reasons, not being trusted in many circumstances, people who have no intention of being, whatever, taking advantage of children or hurting anybody, you have to act as cautious as possible in every situation.
あとね、これもしおじいちゃんとかだったらいいんじゃない？おじいちゃんだったらさ、ちょっとちっちゃい子がいて可愛いと思ってんだな、みたいな。なあ、そんなさ、70、80のおじいちゃんからさ、
Oh God.
飴とかもらったら、優しいおじいちゃんだって思うじゃん。なんかそれが、ミッドエイジぐらいだと、こいつやべえとか思うけど。
All I have to say is that there have been incidents, and one of them was recent that you're aware of that we both experienced, or not directly, but in the news, of older Japanese men going around and flashing their naked body towards Japanese schoolgirls.
違う、オーディオじゃない、20何歳だよ。
Oh, that was the 20s?
いや。
Okay, I'm just saying I wouldn't put that past an old man. That's all I'm saying. I definitely wouldn't put that past an old man. So are you saying that in Japan, do you think that would be perceived as creepy, giving out candy specifically?
いや別にまあシチュエーションによるよ、そりゃ。なんか急にさ渡されてもさ変だから。だからさ、近所に住んでる優しいおじいちゃんがいて、それが学校から帰ると飴ちゃんくれるんだったら、それはすごいね、スイートだし。なんかそのさ、シチュエーションだよ。シチュエーションによるよ。
It just sounds so bad. Like I could say that same sentence in English and it has a completely different vibe. Wow, the nice old man who's right beside the elementary school waiting outside giving candy to the children as they walk by. You're like, what is that old man? Yeah, there's probably there's definitely a lot of cultural context in here. There's a lack of trust with neighbors. I told you there used to be a whole scandal in our Halloween episode where we talked about people putting razor blades, or at least there was a fear that people would, at the very least, put razor blades or poison or something in people's candy. And for a lot of reasons, I don't think there's a really good way to do it. I'm sorry, Shakas. But maybe if you go to Japan, that's what we learned. If you go to Japan.
日本のさ、近所同士って、なんかコミュニティができてて、で、それで変な動きすると、なんかみんなからあの人やばいよねってなるから、多分、お互いに。
Don't do it.
まあそうだね。
Never mind. Don't do it. With your next question or comment about everything being huge, I'm going to be very specific. I'm talking about the literal size of objects, not the general like town or area. I'm talking about the physical size of objects is way too big for me. Also roads. I've kind of gotten a little more used to it now, but I'm comparing it to Japan. The place I stayed in, the full location, the entire location has less square footage than my room, I think. And I don't know how it looks on my camera, although I have a bunch of cool stuff in the background, but my room's in size is actually not that big. So it's the scale. Everything's bigger. Cups are bigger. It basically, you know what it feels like? It feels like I was in Alice in Wonderworld or Wonderland, and then I went back to the real world. That's kind of how it feels. The scale, or like I was a Pikmin, and now I'm like a human size.
なんだろうね。だってそもそもさ、日本の土地自体がさ、ちっちゃいからさ、なんかまあロードとか、まあハウスとかはちっちゃくなるんじゃない？
Cars.
土地が。で、cars もさ、道が狭い分、の車もさ、ちっちゃくなるんじゃない？
Yeah. Although in US, I think the relationship is actually backwards. I think Americans want bigger cars. Well, I don't think Americans do want bigger cars, and at least the people buying cars and the size of cars, specifically trucks, has increased like substantially over the course of the last like 20, 30 years. I saw a whole
家
video
族
of
が多い
that.
からでしょ、それ。
Pickups? No.
家
The
族
majority,
家族。
no, the majority of for pickups, I'm talking about pickups. Those are like some of the biggest things. These massive, the Ford F-150. They're all basically dudes who drive an empty back pickup, nothing in it, just to like show off like how big their car is and how manly they think they are. And so they get these giant vehicles. Yeah. And the size has increased. And so if you have big cars, you need big roads. So I think it's probably backwards. I think people want big cars and therefore they fail to accommodate big roads.
逆か。
Yeah, functional is, people will convince themselves it's functional, but it's not functional. It's totally a weird, like, manly thing. People think it's manly to have a car.
あれじゃな、あとさ、ビッグトランクがあるのはさ、コストコとか、ね、すごい大量買いするじゃんね。食料品とかも多いし、大きいし、ね、普通の生活用品も大きいから、それを乗せるのにはさ、やっぱり大きい車がないとっていうのもあって、それに。
Nah, you could do it in a small car. You could do a full families of groceries. Yeah, you just go by yourself and use the other seats. Oh, you're talking to American here with like who's been in a lot of big cars. I'm saying even for like my family, like stores like meat, like they think that there's going to be, I mean, there was a pandemic, but like they think that they're going to have to live some sort of apocalypse. So I'm saying,
あれじゃない
and if you really think about it, like just in between my hands, you can fit a lot of meat there. Now, if you're talking about a full seat, you could stack up a full person amount of whatever you want to eat in a seat. Like, you don't need a big car. This is brainwashing. This is brainwashing. I won't let this brainwashing slide. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, because your boy likes Kagami no Kojo, and I had to respond to this part of the comment. I'm your boy for those listening at home. Yes, the movie, okay. So I didn't show it in the video made about audiobooks, which you should check out. Or maybe you've already seen it, and you're a new listener to the podcast, in which case, hello. But I talk about Kagami no Kojo, which is an audiobook that you should listen to, or like I said, check out my video on audiobooks and focusing on that audiobook and specifically. But so Kagami no Kojo was a light novel, or was a novel, later got adapted into many things, one of which was an audiobook. But also when I was in Japan, coincidentally, while I was also filming this video, like I think 2 days later, after I filmed this video, I went to Tokyo and saw promotional posters for a movie that's getting currently it's airing in Japan as I speak. I never got to see it, which drives me insane. But yeah, currently it's only being screened in Japan, so you won't be able to find it legally for those legal watchers of legal things online.
Legally.
Yeah, legally, yeah. You won't be able to legally find it for a while because it is
air quotes.
Still airing in theaters. Yeah, which is a bummer. But also fun facts for other people, I don't know, interesting in what's coming up in the Japanese movie scene. I mentioned this previously, but these are some of the movies that I really want to check out that for people, I don't know, who like anime might be interested. Slam Dunk got a movie. And I didn't get to see it, but I think you can watch it from the very beginning. I think it's like a retelling, but not of the full movie. It might be a full series of things, as far as I know. And the other one, and this might come up in another video, but Legend of the Galactic Heroes, the 1989 or 1980 whatever OVA, yeah, Gingae Yudentetsu, which has never gotten it was originally an original, what's it called, original video animation. Like, it went straight to DVD base, as far as I understand. Never had a TV release. And so, as far as I know, this already passed, but this like January or something. As far as I know, this would have been like the first official, it was like a 4K remaster being showed in theaters. So, if I'm not wrong, this would be the first time it actually got a release in an official capacity that's not like sending it to DVD. Might be wrong about that, but basically I'm saying look forward to people who want to watch this very elitist anime from the 80s or 90s. It's getting or has got a 4K remaster, at least for some amount of episodes. So yeah, look forward to that. That bell means we've reached the end of today's episode. Thanks for joining us in another lazy conversation towards fluency. If you have any language-related questions and or just looking for general advice, send an email to lazyfluency@gmail.com. We might respond in the next episode. Also, make sure to check out our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and more. We'd appreciate the support. This has been Joey. Signing off.
じゃあね。
じゃあねー。